Hello and welcome to the course LLMs and AI Agents for Business. My name is Jones. I am the founder of the platform AI Expert Academy, which is a subscription-based online course platform with various courses in the areas of data science, artificial intelligence, computer vision, and all these related fields. As the course name itself indicates, you will learn how to create real-world projects in different business areas. By the end of the course, you will have all the necessary foundation to create your own projects and even offer solutions to companies. Now, I will show the case studies that will be covered and implemented step by step. The first will be in the area of marketing. All implementations will be done online in Google Colab. This way, the learning process becomes more didactic as there is no need to worry about installing and setting tools on your own machine. Here, we can see the list of topics that will be implemented in this project, from creating the graphical user interface so the user can fill in the fields, to the entire process of executing the LLM and viewing the result. You can see here all the topics that will be implemented step by step. The idea of this project is to create a user interface for the company's marketing team with the goal of generating personalized content. For example, we can type the topic, physical exercise, we choose the platform, such as Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on. By choosing the platform, the text will be adapted to it. We have the tone, normal, informative, inspiring, urgent, or informal. The text length, also the target audience, and it is possible to include a CTA and return hashtags. It is also possible to specify some keywords you would like to include in the text, such as well-being. Then we can click on Content Generator. Below we have the content that was generated according to the form filled out by the user. We can see that we have a post about physical exercises. We also have returned hashtags, and at the end, we have the call to action. The interesting part is that when you change the platform, the text will also change, because the LinkedIn audience is different from the Instagram audience and other platforms. The second case study is about customer support. In this project, we will simulate the customer service of a digital bank, when the user can ask specific questions related to their account. We will also implement it step by step in Google Colab, and we will work with a concept called RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, which is when we provide additional documents to help the LLM's response. That is, instead of returning general answers, the algorithm will provide answers based on the bank's documentation. We can do an initial test. Hello, how do I change my password? Here we have the AI's result which shows step by step how the password should be changed. The difference in this case study is that the algorithm's answers are based on this bank's own service manual, which has information about account opening, account access, functionalities, and so on. This way, when the user makes a query in the chat, this personalized bank document is consulted so the answer can be generated. This case study is very interesting because it can be applied to any other type of company or scenario. You just need to provide the company's personalized documents so that the chatbot can generate personalized responses. The next case study is about human resources. The goal is to screen and analyze CVs. We can click on Browse Files and upload the CVs. In this example, we have an opening for a full stack developer, and I selected 2 candidates. After the files are uploaded, we click on View Details in order to see the analysis generated by artificial intelligence, such as the area, skills, summary, suggested interviewed questions that the recruiter could ask to this candidate, the strengths, areas for development, important considerations, and also the final recommendations. We are also generating a JSON file in case it is necessary to use this data in another application. Something interesting in this project is that we are also calculating a score to identify which candidate is most suitable for the position. In this example, Thomas has a score of 8.5 and Alex has a score of only 3. So, the HR department can filter and select candidates more easily and objectively. Below, we have a table that shows all the details, the name, the area, a summary of the CV. In this other column, we extracted the main skills of each person, their education, the questions, strengths, weakness, and so on. The next project is in education area. In this user interface, we define the parameters such as the exercise level, the theme such as mathematics, and the number of exercises to be generated. It is even possible to specify the student's preferences. If the student likes movies, personalized intermediate level math exercises that address movies will be generated. On the left part of the window, it is possible to select a model and also set the temperature parameter, which will indicate how creative the responses will be. In this project, we are using a reasoning model, which is the one that will generate a text with all the reasoning the algorithm itself has before generating the exercises, which is a way to ensure everything is working correctly. Next, we have the exercises. Notice that they are general math exercises, but they are taking the subject of movies into consideration. These exercises can even be exported directly to Google Drive. In the second part of the case study, we will use RAG and integrate it with a vector database called QDrent. This way, it will be possible to generate personalized exercises based on the books and materials using during class. We will use some articles to generate exercises. You can send any type of document, from a workbook for students to practice or even a corporate manual, allowing the department responsible for training to generate personalized exercises to train their team. In part 3 of the project, we will create a digital tutor with an AI agent that will be able to access the vector repository. We will implement an AI that will be able to interact via chat, answer questions in natural language, and, if necessary, search for information directly in the vector database that contains all the content covered in class, which the teacher can upload. Here we have an execution example. The user asks a question about the telescope, which is the material indexed in the database. So the AI accesses this data and generates the answer based on the personalized class material. We will also create some tools for calculation, and here is another example. It returns information from the database about astronomy. Based on this, a text is generated from the indexed data. The project number 5 is about finances. Here we have the graphical interface of our solution, which is capable of interpreting extensive documents like reports and financial spreadsheets, generating summaries and answering specific questions clearly. In this case study, we will implement intelligence agents using the REACT approach, allowing the system to combine reasoning and actions to search for and validate information autonomously. This is interesting for systems that require reliability, validation, and control, as in the case of financial analysis. Let's upload the first file, which is a PDF of the company's annual financial report. It is this file separated by the months, January, February, March, and so on. When the file is uploaded, we get some quick insights with a summary of the document. Then we can ask questions about the document. For example, what was the revenue for Nexus Edge? And here is the response. We can also visualize the agent's steps, which is the REACT log. This makes it easier to understand how the agent searched for the information. Now let's upload another file, cash flow. As it is a CSV, the visualization changes. We can see each of the columns, and below we have the quick insights with the document summary. And then it is possible to ask questions about this spreadsheet. For example, what is the total revenue for the month of March? And here is the response. We can also take a look at the agent steps. In this case study, we are using Pandas Query Engine library. As you can see, a Pandas filter has been created by artificial intelligence in order to extract the data from this table. The next project is related to tourism area. In this case study, we will build a travel planner using a multi-agent system. For implementation, we will use a framework called Crew AI, which is specific for this orchestration between several agents working together. The idea is to fill in the travel data so the agents generate an itinerary. The interesting part of the system is that we have 4 agents. The first generates a general report of the city, for example, recommended places to visit, daily expenses, safety recommendations, and so on. All this data is sent to the logistics agent, whose objective is to find accommodations, flights, and transfers. Next, the content from these 2 agents is sent to another one that will use the previous results to generate a very detailed itinerary. Note that it is laid out day by day. It is important to emphasize that the itineraries are generated based on the user preferences, in this case, romantic trip. Additionally, a communication guide is generated, which will bring useful phrases in British English, for example, in restaurants, pubs, transport, shopping, and so on. This communication guide is generated based on the traveler's preferences. The next case study is about retail and e-commerce. We will implement a review analysis agent. We can choose a specific product that will be read from a database in SQL. An Amazon product database will be used, and we will implement step by step all the processing to treat this data and leave it in the correct format for the LLM processing. Clicking on Run Analysis, we can observe the final evaluation result. The overall sentiment classification is negative. We also have the positive and negative points and a general review. We can also ask for more information. For example, summarize the negative points. Here we have a result of the negative feedback, and it is also possible to visualize the logs of the agent, such as the SQL commands that will be automatically generated. Companies can use this type of application to understand the reviews their products and services are receiving. So, it is possible to identify problems and also opportunities for product improvement. Since an SQL database will be used, there will be a tool that will search for all available tables in the database. Having the tables, it is possible to extract the schema or structure of each of them. And based on that, the SQL is automatically generated to filter the data. Finally, the last case study is about healthcare. The idea of this case study is to implement an agent to analyze medical images. In this interface, it is possible to choose a specific model and send an image. For example, an X-ray. Then we can click on Analyze Image to get the result. The interesting part of this case study is that we will use a multimodal LLM that, in addition to accepting text, it accepts other types of files, such as images, videos, audios, and so on. We get as a result the image type, relevant findings, diagnostic evaluation, and also the explanation in an easier way to understand. At the end, we have another agent that will research health databases to generate the diagnosis with scientific articles. This way, the result will be more reliable. As you may have observed, the idea of the course is to present 8 practical case studies that can be used by companies to implement them. You will use a lot of technologies like reasoning models, LangGraph, Llama Index, React agents, and so on. There are several technologies that will work together to achieve the results. By the end of the course, you will have all the necessary techniques to develop your own projects. In the next lesson, we will begin the first case study. Thank you and see you there!